No need to dwell in the moment.
I know, right? Let's not go back in the past. But we're going to go back in the past just for a little bit because just in case you missed our last episode, kind of recap. Remember, we are live on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram.
Not live. We live on Instagram and YouTube.
But you could go back, and rewatch everything that we have on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and
YouTube. You can go on those and look.
YouTube.
So last week we talked about healing and how to heal from past traumas and the importance of healing and all of that. How do you feel about last week's episode, hon?
I feel like last week's episode was really amazing. Despite, our minor difficulties, we pulled it together and we had an amazing show. I feel like the conversations and the chats was good. You know, we had really good questions and feedback. Like, it was all around a great show last week. Yes. I appreciate you all.
We love you guys so much. You have supported us. We love when you guys comment and just keeps us going. And our followers situation is getting stronger and stronger each week. And thank you for just being there with us and supporting us, definitely.
Yes. Hi, Auntie. Spice Lady, that's mine.
Hey, girl.
So, we just want to do so we did recap. I'm sorry. We want to go over our posts that we've been, our comments and stuff on Instagram and Facebook. So this week I did pose a question, and let me go to it because I got some good feedback, even though it was only from like 2 people, but it was some good feedback. So of course we're talking about red flags and unhealthy dating and relationship patterns. Like, not just with dating, but any relationships, like family, friends, work, whatever. Like, those unhealthy patterns that you go through. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we named it red flags. And so I posted a question on the Facebook group page, and it said, what are red flags for you? And I got some comments here. Candace said, rude to service staff, talks bad about his mom, unless there are actual legit reasons, that gut feeling, and deadbeat dads. My cousin Aqua said, them expecting more than they're willing to give, always complaining and nagging, not listening to agree, and won't take no for an answer, not admitting to or apologizing for mistakes, and 3 or more marriages or relationship, he's the common denominator. Oh.
Marriages or relationships?
Yeah.
I could say marriages. Relationships, I done been in so many of those. I guess what does it depend? A lot of people be like, if I dated you before I turned 21, it doesn't count because I wasn't an adult before then, so that doesn't count as a relationship.
Right.
So we do have those. So for me, you guys, my round list of Instagram. So I did do some also a poll. For some reason, I'm obsessed with these polls lately, instead of doing questions. So I did kind of just ask the question of, when it comes to red flags, are you more inclined to, pretty much how many red flags is it for you to see until you break up with someone? So I put the options of choice A, 1 red flag, you're done. Choice B, 2 to 3 red flags. And choice C, 4 to 6 red flags. And majority, so I think I don't have my phone with me, but majority put option B, which is 2 to 3 red flags. It was around 60% that 30% was 1 red flag, and then the other 10% was more than 4 red flags.
Oh wow!
So that was crazy. So I guess some people are like, most people want at least to see it as a pattern or a habit. So about 2 red flags, then they watch this.
Right.
Watch this.
Listen.
So I definitely could see that. I don't know why. So I guess we'll get into it. So what I think, what you had, a lot of the people that had put on Facebook, I agree with those red flags. So what are some red flags for you?
That's a good question. So let's see. Because I have a list of things. One for me would be consistently lying. Like when you just lie about everything. Like,
okay, I see that.
I don't like lying, period. That's the number one rule for me. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, be honest with me. But like when you're just lying about everything for no reason, like you volunteer lies for no reason, like that's a red flag for me. Let's see. Definitely how you treat the people around you, whether it's your mom, your sister, your brother, your dad, anyone like close to you, like how you treat them, and then the circle you keep, like the circle of people you keep. Because birds of a feather flock together.
I can see that. I definitely can see it in a positive and a negative way, because I can be on both ends of the coin with that term. Definitely. But no, I definitely agree with you. I kind of agree with all of that. I think how you treat your family or the people around you, or not even that, when you're going through something with somebody, it could be you can have a family issue or a friend issue, how you talk about that person.
Right.
Especially 9 times out of 10 when you know you're going to be back cool with that person.
Right.
Like, and as when you're talking to someone or you're together with someone, you kind of have that pillow talk where it's kind of open forum. So say me and you got into it and I'm at my man's house and I know like we're going to be back talking tomorrow, but I might be like, man, Brie, man, she got on my dang on nerves, her, but I would never go to a level like, oh, she definitely this X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And that would keep me kind of like looking like, hold on, how? So I think when my guy or whoever it is, when they're mad at someone, how they talk about them. Another red flag is how he treats his kids. I say, when it comes to them kids, a red flag for me is kids under 2, period. Okay, if them kids under 2, them parents still doing the do. Okay, but I know, right? Rewinding it back. So that's another one, and then just kind of ultimately how they communicate, like communication skills, like that. So if I have to keep telling you how to treat me or what to do, that's a red flag. Like this one guy, y'all, he's so sweet. He has been so sweet, but you have been asking me for the past 3 months to go take me on a date, and you haven't had any plans. Like, that just shows me, like, you're not about action. You're just all talk.
Right.
So, definitely.
And you know what another red flag is? The every 5 minutes, WYD.
Oh, WYD, yeah.
First of all, texting me WYD is a red flag sometimes. Like, cause you too lazy to text out the whole word.
Yeah.
I don't know. I text out the word. Sometimes I do it, but sometimes I don't. Like, I text out the whole. Most of the times I text out the whole word. It's like, are you too lazy to text the word? What you doing? Like, you want to know what I'm doing? And secondly, like maybe the lazy part might just be a little bit much. Me be pushing it, but. The other part to it is, why do you have time every 5 minutes to text me what you doing? Like, you ain't working, are you?
Availability is definitely.
Right.
Okay, so Spice Lady said, yes, this honesty is a red flag.
Absolutely.
And Corey, he said abbreviations are not red flags. I think they can be depending on the person. Like,
not the abbreviations, it's the text message of, what are you doing every 5 minutes? Like, that's the red flag. Yeah. Not that you abbreviate it. It's just, why are you texting me every 5 minutes? What am I doing? Like,
yeah. Like, I think it's the time on your hand. You got
too much time. Because why you got enough time to keep texting me what I'm doing? Like,
exactly.
Did you not work today or yesterday or the day before? Like, come on now.
Those are, I think, like, on our flyer I had put for this, like, it was kind of like, my car is always in the shop. That was one of the things I was like, red flag. Like, when you first meet a guy or a girl, I'm not going to just talk down on guys, but on a girl, and they're like, oh, my car's in the shop, or it's always an excuse. Like, just say you ain't got no car. Like,
it's okay. We go through things. You don't got a car right now. That's cool. Like,
or like the, what was the other ones on the flyer? I can't even think. It was kind of like, can I borrow $40? Like, I feel like $40, like, even just asking in the beginning with someone, like, you don't expect nobody to do something to you. So that's like kind of a red flag.
Right.
Like, you don't know me. What's my middle name? And you want me to give you money?
Right.
Like, why do you
keep
get
sending me
feel-
a cash out request every 3 days? Like, what's wrong? What's
That's
going
a red
on?
flag. Like, I think on guys' ends too, because like I think that could be a guy thing too.
Yeah.
Like, I know when I talk to a lot of my like guy friends or brothers, and I like when a girl like be like, oh, I'm at the nail on shop. Oh, and they're like, okay, cool, and they're like, yeah, you want to pay for my, like, that's a red flag in the beginning. Like, girl, I just only known you for 3 weeks, and you want me to, like, I don't mind doing it, but, like, you don't know, like, why do you want me to pay for your feet to get done and this and that?
Right.
And I'm like, I can get that. Now, if you have an opinion, and you like, I need you to get white toes, then that's an opinion. But if it's just a random, like, I would never randomly be like, oh, I'm going to get my feet done, I need you to send me money, and we're not together.
Right. Like,
So.
another one, I just had it in my head while you was talking. I was thinking, I was like, oh, that's a good one. Dang, and I forgot.
I've been talking too much, y'all.
No, not at all. What was it? What was I finna say? Because I didn't have this one written down, but I just thought of it while you were talking. What were we? Okay, I'll come back to it. Anyways.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I think another big red flag for me is how someone acts in public. Like, if we've been with guys, like, that is a red flag. Like, you have two flips on a coin sometimes. You have those guys to where y'all might be talking for a while, and you think, you know, it's all good, and you see him in public, and he can act like he doesn't know you, walk right past you, like, and he might say, well, I don't like people in my business, but it's still like an acknowledgement aspect of it. But then you have those where they do see you in public, and they're like, oh my God, hey, this is my baby, like, they want to show you off. Like, that's weird to me. Like, why do you want to let your friends know that we together, we not together yet? Like, kinda, it's like levels to it and stuff.
I can get that. One that I think is really big as well is like having a dream but no plan.
Yes.
Like always talking about, oh, I'm gonna do this, do that, but you don't put any efforts to it. Don't try to put any efforts to it. That's one. And then like you being mad at someone else for like things that you've done, like if you did something you messed up, like instead of taking ownership or accountability for what you're doing, you always want to place the blame off on someone else.
Definitely.
That's a red flag too.
I definitely agree. And then like honestly, also with you guys, you know, you don't have to just have red flags with the relationships. You definitely have red flags when it comes to friendships.
Absolutely.
And work. Like those are big things too. Like, you know, what one of the biggest red flags I have, so with a job, is a job always wants to offer you like, we'll do pizza Fridays for free work. Like, oh, you guys have been busting your butt and been working hard, has been, you know, doing all this stuff. You know, I'm gonna give y'all free pizza. No, you can give me a bonus, give me a raise. Like, that's a red flag with certain jobs, because certain companies do rather just be like, let me just give you free pizza, we'll bring some free donuts in the morning. Like, no, I need the funds.
Right.
Like, that's a big red flag. Another big red flag for me is when you I forgot who had told me this, but when you go, not when you get hired, but when you go into a job for an interview, if it's like an office job, look at the people that are there. Like, a lot of times, like, pay attention to how they're acting, because you know when you get the job, everybody's going to be like on their best behavior, like, oh, we got to introduce this person, welcome them in.
Right.
But like when you're in the lobby, kind of like look, if you can go to the bathroom, if the bathroom's kind of like in the workspace and you can see, because that tells a lot of things. Like if they're sad or depressed or they just look miserable, like that's definitely a red flag.
Right, absolutely. I always, like, if I have a chance to, if someone's there, like, how's it? Do you like working here? Like, what is it? Like, be honest with me. You know, like, I've never done that, like, in a corporate job, of course, because you don't get to see many people when you're, like, going in a corporate job. But, like, when I work for, like, different restaurants or different retail stores, I always ask the employees, like, do you like working here? Like, what's the biggest thing that you like about working here? Like, what's the biggest thing that's kind of like, you know, like, kind of gear you away from working here? Like, I always ask that. I always ask that question.
Definitely, and that's true. Because you can ask people in the interviews, like, what is the workplace environment? And they can lie.
Right.
So that's definitely. And then friends, of course. Like, we have red flags when it comes to friends. Listen, there are a lot of red flags that we ignore or just don't want to see when it comes to friends, but it is there. Like feeling insecure or feeling left out. My biggest thing is how I equivalent seeing red flags is the metaphor I always use. You know how when you and your friends want to go on a trip.
Yeah.
Make sure you're there because they want you there, and you're not there just to decrease the price of the trip. And the reason I say that is because I've been in situations, not me personally, but I've been in situations, I've heard of situations where people have been invited on trips and they were just there because it's cheaper. Everything goes down $100 if we add
one more person, right?
Rather than them genuinely want you to be there for them, and not just in trips, but just in general. I think that's like a overall metaphor you can use.
Right, like don't insert yourself when you feel like you are inserting yourself into a situation that's a red flag. Like you should never feel like with friends, with family, with significant others, you never should feel like you have to fit yourself into what's going on. Like, you get what I'm saying? You have to fit yourself into a puzzle piece. It should just flow naturally. And then another one is how, like, you know, we all have our friends. We have, like, our friend group that we hang with, like, that we gonna ride or die for. But then our friends have friends, they friends have friends, you know? So we all hanging together as friends. You have to pay attention to how those friends act when they're with you and with them versus when they're just with you by yourself.
Definitely. I definitely agree. And you definitely want to make sure everyone is like copacetic. Like, you can't force friendship on anyone. Like, when it's like your outside friends coming together, Bree can, because we already know Bree did force her friendship on your best friend, right, Bridget?
Yes.
Okay. I saw listen a little bit. You did force it. But you could just want to make sure the flow is right. And like making sure you have those red flags where it's like when you see it, you're just like, wait, what?
Right.
And I think for friends, it becomes so borderline because a lot of people will be like, well, you can't tell me who I could be friends with. Right. But I think it's a level of loyalty too. Right. So I think it's like, so for example, me and you are friends and we don't like Chelsea. I don't know Chelsea, y'all. So I do know Chelsea. She's getting married. Congratulations. But anyways, and then me and Chelsea fell out, but you and Chelsea are still friends. Who am I to tell you that you can't be friends with Chelsea? Right. However, the red flags can come if you're telling Chelsea my business, or if she's talking openly about how she feels about me, or if I'm talking to you about Chelsea. You know what I'm saying? I think that's when those red flags come.
Right. I feel like in those situations, and that happens more often than not, where like you have a group of friends and you and these friends are cool, everybody's cool, and then somebody in the group falls out with each other, and then they feel like, well, because I fell out with this person, everybody need to fall out. But no, we're adults. We can be friends and know the boundaries. Yeah. Because those are boundaries. Like, definitely. When this friend starts to talk ill about you, listen, I'm not in this. I don't want to hear that. Let's change the subject. You know, I'm not going to add fuel to the fire. I'm not going to egg it on. I'm going to cut it off. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, if you over here and this friend, you with this friend, y'all talking bad, and then you go back to this friend and you talk bad about this friend to this friend, like, then you are the problem. Yeah. And you are the red flag. Right. You are the whole flag, literally. Right. Or not even just that, like, just certain things with friends that we see, you know, being left out, or just kind of being like, oh, you're too sensitive. Like, a lot of friends like to play like, oh, you're just too sensitive. Oh, you overthink it. It's not that big of a deal. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, actually, me and my best friend, we had got into it last Saturday. And we didn't get into it bad. I was at work and I had seen something, and I was friends with a girl. We're not friends anymore. And once again, she can be friends with whoever she wants to be friends with. But the girl posted her on some, like, trying to be funny towards me. Oh.
And that's where I was like, look. Like that, it was a difference if it was on some like mutual kind of like thing. It didn't have nothing to do with my best friend, but like the girl had tried to do like a subliminal a week before this that happened towards me. I seen it, I ignored it. So she was just like, well, how can I like let me try to tap in front of her face? And I was like, don't do that. Like that's just weird. So I was like, but I had to explain that to her, and I think that's when the boundaries come and everything we talked about before, from boundaries to respect to just being open and honest. Because when you see those red flags, it's up to you to determine whether they're worthy for you to address it or worthy for you to just let it go.
Let it go, right. That's the thing, like, we see the flags, you know. I think that goes into our next topic, right?
Yeah.
Like, we always, like, we know, when it happens, we be like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that, this happened, but we see the flags, we see them. Sometimes we feel like, oh, well, I can just overlook that. And then it happened. Or maybe it happened one time and you're like, oh, okay, that's just one time. We're going to let that slide. And then it happens again. It's like, oh, that's just another time. We're going to let that slide. Like, but you letting it slide. You're saying that you see it. You acknowledge it. You know what's going on. You choose not to address it, you know. And that's how you fall into those unhealthy relationship patterns, whether it's dating, friendships, workplace, whatever. You see that your job is constantly working you, calling you in on your off days, you know, not respecting your time off. Like, you got time off for a reason, not respecting your time off. But then when you come into work, they don't like act like they appreciate you. They just use you, and then you still get the bottom end of the toe. Those are like red flags that you're seeing. You know they're going on, but you continue to let them go. So like, who can you really be upset with, you or the job? Because they only doing what you're allowing them to do.
Exactly. What they say, you teach people how to treat you.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
for jobs, relationships, family, friendships, all of that. And I think when transparent moment with you guys, you know, when we were thinking about like the unhealthy, because technically this is really like unhealthy relationship patterns, dating, family, all of that. But I was like, hey, let's be cute and do red flags. Yeah. But when I started thinking about it, because Bree was kind of saying, you know, kind of talking about it, and I was like, you know, red flags aren't just like, it's like, this has been around. Like, our new generation, you know, we love a TikTok, we love a hashtag, we love to make a word up, and that's been like kind of our red flags. But before that, you know, with our moms, it was like, it's been around. It's about your intuition, your gut, those things. So before then, you know, they will always, you know, like, I feel like my mom always said, you know, your woman intuition, like, trust your woman intuition. Before then, it was like trusting your gut, trusting how you feel, like that pit in your stomach. So it's always been the same thing over centuries. It's just been a different name every time we broke, you know, in a different generation, depending on how it is.
Absolutely. Like, I always, you know when something isn't right. You're gonna feel it inside, for one. Like, and you have to just pay attention to like those feelings. Like, if you've been doing something for so long and then all of a sudden you're switching up, like, out of nowhere, like, what's going on? And that's not just with relationships. Like, of course, that's the biggest one in a relationship, to tell when something is not right, you know, or some stuff is going on. But, like, if for the last 5 months you've been doing the same exact thing on the same exact pattern, and now all of a sudden you changing things up, it could be that some things just change, or it could be that some things change, you know? Like,
this is true.
It could be that I'm not that person that I was to you anymore, but you don't know if the person that is playing that role is still, you know, it's going to be what it is. So you trying to make sure you keep this on right here just in case. That way you have something to fall back on. You got to pay attention and stuff like that. Like, it's like, people show you who they are. You just have to watch and listen. Not just watch, but you have to listen. Like, when someone is showing you something, don't be like, oh no, that's just the off moment. You believe people for what they are, because people will talk all day, but those actions show you who people are.
Definitely.
Believe those actions. What they say, believe. None of what you hear, half of what you see, and what was the other one? I can't remember, but yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think. I know exactly what you're talking about. But that is true. Like, you have to do it, and I think we all see it. Like, we see it. You know when a person is treating you bad. You know when someone isn't being genuine with you, and in a certain sense, you know when someone isn't being transparent with you, or they're lying, like, or they're, you have some women, like, when it comes to guys, like, I won't go through a guy's phone, but they know when their guy isn't the same, or when it's this and that, or when work hasn't been the same, or it's been off, or a friend has been off, we haven't talked. It's up to you whether you want to address it and if you want to believe in it.
Right.
I think we normalize toxicity. We love saying, "Oh, she toxic, he toxic," or like just Tuesday we were at our job. And this is no. I'm gonna this is no negativity to Bree at all. But we were just joking, and when the DJ was like, we were like taking shots, having a good time, and the DJ was like, "Shout out to Bree being toxic."
He calls me his favorite toxic bartender.
Yes.
Like, I'm not toxic. Why would you call me that?
Exactly. And then, like, just like that's just a normalization of it. And of course, Bree is not toxic in a negative way. Honestly, if you guys haven't figured it out, I am the devil and she's the angel of this show. We had to say.
Absolutely not. What?
But like, we normalize it, and I think it's like different strokes for different folks, in a sense. Like, we normalize calling someone over 50, 60 times, "Oh, you being toxic," but that means she cares about you or he loves you. You having fun with your friends, or your spouse coming up in the middle of you having fun because you didn't answer the phone once, spazzing out in the middle of the club. "Oh, that's toxic, he, but they care." Or just like, I'm trying to think, like, it's a lot of toxic things we call toxic, but we think it's like, we think it's humorous.
Right, like, we laugh about it, we overlook it, but then when it gets to be a problem, we're like, "Well, I didn't know." Well, they showed you all those signs already in the beginning. You just laughed at it and called it toxic and kept moving. Like, if something is toxic to me, it's toxic. And toxic is, do you know the definition of toxic? Like,
it's probably bad. I'm pretty sure it's like waste. When I think of toxic, I think like toxic waste, chemicals, something negative.
Absolutely. So why would you want to be that? Why would you want that around you? Why would you want that surrounding you?
I definitely agree.
You have to think about stuff like that. Like, and you have to be careful what you say out of your mouth too. Like, the things that you manifest out of your mouth will come to light. Like, and whether you're just saying things jokingly or being serious about it, like, the things that you say, your tongue has power. Life and death lies in the power of your tongue. So, like, before you speak something out your mouth, you better be sure that that's really what you want to manifest. Because when they say be careful what you wish for, you could be wishing for stuff and you don't even know it.
Exactly. And I think it's just, when we talk about how do you identify red flags, how do you identify unhealthy patterns, I think you already said it. You already identify it. You see it. It's just a path of whether you want to acknowledge it and where it gets to that point in knowing yourself. I think the biggest thing with identifying it is self-awareness and self-love, having those boundaries, having that respect, having the courage to walk away and say, "I'm not going to deal with it." Because for someone who doesn't know themselves, it opens up a gate for everyone else to mistreat you because you can't treat yourself great.
Right, and that's what we was talking about last week. When you don't know you, or you don't know your worth, or you yourself don't value who you are and who God says that you are, you allow others to just do any and everything. And because you allow them to do those things, then these patterns, they keep forming, and you're going to keep having the same patterns in relationships and friendships and work, because you're allowing them to happen. You have to identify, okay, so this is the common denominator within me. This is why this is keep happening, because I am allowing this to happen, and then you have to be like, okay, why am I allowing this to happen? Let me dig a little deeper and see. That's when therapy comes in. That's when journaling. That's when, going to your war room and talking to God to figure out, like, what is it that it keeps allowing me to that keeps allowing me to let these things happen, let these people treat me. Why do I feel like I'm not good enough for them to treat me as if how I deserve to be treated, you know?
Definitely.
Because nobody deserves, no matter who you are, nobody deserves to be ran over. Nobody deserves to be used. Nobody deserves to be manipulated or anything like that, you know? So it's like you let those things happen because that's how you feel about yourself. Why is it that that's why you feel about yourself?
Definitely. I definitely agree. And I think the biggest thing with you allowing that is also you got to know what you want. In the words of Zane, what you want. You got to know yourself.
Right.
But you got to know like what you want and what you're willing to budge on and what you're not willing to budge on. And those things, like what might be a red flag to you, might not be a red flag to me, but it goes into why is it. For example, I know we were talking about it the other day, when it comes to a male yelling. I know you were like, you have one. I'm not going to speak for you. I'm going to let you speak for you what you said, and then I'll kind of bounce off of that when it comes to like yelling with a man.
That's a no-go for me from the absolute top. I cannot do like, and I understand like some people, they feel like the only way they can get their point across is if they raise their voice. But for me, that's a red flag because those are triggers for me.
Yeah.
You know, because when I associate raising your voice, I associate putting your hands on me. So those are triggers for me. So I don't like that. Even if you may raise your voice and not ever put your hands on me, that's just where I'm associate that with. So then I shut down. So now while I'm shutting down and I done like put myself in this little box where I'm all checked out, you know, because now at this point my anxiety has kicked in, you know, a little bit of fear probably kicked in too. So like I don't do raising voice. Like I don't like to have to raise my voice at other people, so I don't want people raising their voice at me. You know, I try my hardest not. And the only time I really get to the point where I feel like I'm raising my voice is if I have to feel like I have to talk over you because you're not listening. Mm-hmm. Like you're raising your voice at me, and now I got to talk over for you to hear what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
And then I think that's the thing. So for me, I wouldn't put raising a voice. I would put that as a yellow flag, not as a red for me. And the reason for it is based on my background. Like, you know, no one's ever called me quiet, but not even that. Like, I think I'm very passionate. I like to talk a lot. My family's very big. Like, we yell, but we yell with love. If you can kind of assume, like, kind of think of that. We're passionate the way we talk to people and all this. So I think when I've dealt with a guy, if we've got into it and it's become like a yelling match, of course I wouldn't want it to get there. But because it was not like so much for me, I wouldn't equivalent that straight to putting their hands on me because I haven't
been in that situation.
Right. However, I think that's the great thing about knowing yourself, because if you don't know who you are, don't know what you want, and someone doing that, you would constantly be in that pattern of that, and that can result into domestic violence. It can result into abuse. And instead of, you know, for me, I know, like, okay, not saying if you yell back or if you're back, like, you're not like backing down, he still want a guy or a person, because when you put their hands on men, you're less likely to be a victim of it. But it's not like you're not as timid as opposed to someone that knows I'm not even gonna put myself in that situation.
Right.
Or like, you know, for me, you know, my red flags is them babies. Them babies.
We know.
You but you are more open to that. So that wouldn't be as much of a red flag to you in that sense. So definitely.
And everybody's, they're not the same. So, and that's the thing. Like you said, everybody has things that they can accept and things that they aren't able to accept. And I think more so those red flags, while we look over those as well, is because we're conditioned to, like you said, in your household, you guys grow up yelling, you know, but it was in a loving way. So, like, sometimes it's just it goes back to generational curses. Like, in some households, yelling equivalates to you being in trouble. You're finna get a whooping, you know, something, you done did something bad or something bad has happened, you know. So, and we just, when we hear that happen, like in our adult lives, whether it's with friends or mates or whatever, like we just be like, oh, okay, you know, that's normal because that's what we so used to, but it's not normal. It's not normal. Like you can punish a child without raising your voice at a child. You can let a child know, hey, you know, what you did isn't right. You're not supposed to do that without raising your voice, yelling and stuff. That's just like an adult. Like if you're in a situation, whether it's with friends or family or your significant other, employer, whoever, you can equivalate to them, you can communicate to them, hey, look, this is what you done. It's not right. I don't like it, and I would like for you not to do that again. And I would like for us to come up with, you know, healthy ways to not fall back into this pattern. You know, I feel like most things can be resolved with just a simple conversation.
Yeah.
You know, communicate with me. Let me know, hey, what you did, I don't like. You know, can you please not do that again? Because that made me feel some type of way.
Yeah.
Now, if you come to a person like that and say, hey, I don't know if you noticed this is what you're doing or this is what you have done, but what you did, I don't like, and I would like for you not to do that again or for us to find ways for this not to reoccur. We don't have this issue again. If a person is willing to be like, okay, I accept that, I apologize, let's see what we can do to work on this, that's somebody that cares, you know, that wants to be there, whether it's in whatever the dynamics of the relationship is. They want to be a part of your life, so they're willing to work on that, you know, versus you come to a person and say, hey, you're doing X, Y, Z, and it's making me feel some type of way, and they be like, oh, well, you the problem, then you need to fix it. That person, they don't care. That's a red flag.
Yeah, true. It's a joint effort. It takes, I don't believe in like 50-50. It's 100-100 on both ends. And some days, you know, sometimes you can't give 100. Some days you're going to give 70. And that person just got to give 130. And, that makes sense. Does that make sense? It does. And that's okay. And we're able to fall short. And I think that's reason, like, you know, like with me and Bree, like we were talking about this, and we was like, we both have our days, we have our weeks, and where I think that's the essence that I love of having like co-hosts. We have each other. It's not just a one thing. If she falls short, I'm picking her up. If I fall short, she's picking me up. If we both fall short, we're brainstorming on how to get it back together. And I think it's the essence of being able to lean on someone to have that friendship and that solidification. So for that, like, how do you feel like you can make sure you don't double back, you don't slide back into those unhealthy problems? Because I think it's easy for you to be like, okay, hey, Brie, look, you said this, it hurt me. You said, oh, see, I didn't know about that. I'm sorry. We moved past it. 6 months later, you forget about it, and it's the same thing. So how do you make sure you don't go back to doing the same things that you used to do?
I just pay attention. I pay attention to everything. I'm an overthinker as well. Like, I overthink so much stuff, and I think that for me that could be one of my downfalls, you know, when it comes to things, because it's like I'm never not thinking about something.
Uh-huh.
Like, letting the stuff go is my problem. So that's how most times I like don't double back, because of the fact that I'm always thinking about, well, dang, you know, you did. Now I can say I just lied, because in friendships I double back all the time. I just, for me, I got a sucker for my friends. I'm a sucker for my friends. Like, and sometimes I just feel like, you know, I'm a bit too nice. Like, I know you did something that was really jacked up to me, that I should just be like, girl, a friend wouldn't even do nothing like that.
Yeah.
But because I have the heart that I forgave you, and I want to make things right. But why do I feel like I have to make things right when I wasn't the one who wrong?
That's true.
You know, so that I do double back on friendships, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's a lot of friendships that I have that I probably should be friends with people. You know, I should have probably just cut them off and called it what it was. You know, but for me, I forgive a lot. You know, that's where that big heart comes in. I'm such a big forgiver, because I feel like, you know, God forgave. Why can't I? That reminds me of my customer the other day was like, hey, what day was that? That was like, was it Monday? I think it was Monday. He was like, y'all are crazy. How y'all charging like late fees on these bills? And like, I can't, it's a recession going on right now. I can afford to pay it barely. Jesus forgave. What happened to be more like in the Bible? Jesus forgave. Jesus don't charge late fees.
That's Jesus.
And I was like, okay, yeah, Jesus did forgive, and Jesus don't charge late fees. But also, there wasn't any cell phones in the Bible either. Did you read that somewhere that I didn't read? Like, but he was really like, what happened to be more like Jesus? And when I think about like the person I am and who I want to be, I always associate myself with how can I be more like Christ? Like, what would Christ do in this situation?
Oh, wow, I see that.
Yeah.
That's great. Like, that's the reason I keep saying I aim to be Bree one day. Because, Lord, I think for me, I double back when it comes to relationships. Girl, I will put that thing in reverse, Terrio. Like, put it in reverse. I think, for me, I think my biggest thing is I already know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I think it's a negative thing, and it's something I'm working on now, and that's the reason I'm taking my season out for myself and why I'm just like to myself. But I have been hurt so much by men. I have been hurt by the assumption or like thinking they will do right when they won't, or they do right when it comes to like finances and making sure I'm straight, but they don't do right for my soul. Like, feed my soul.
Right.
And because of that, I feel like it's easier for me to double back. And you would think, well, girl, if you're saying this, why is you doubling back? But I think it's because I already know what to expect. If I have John here, we've been back and forth for our 3 years. And he makes sure I'm good, straight, financially, or maybe he just a good time. Gotta talk to, laugh, but when I'm going through things mentally, or when I just need somebody there, or maybe John he's very friendly. You know what I'm saying? That's why we can't work it out, because he's friendly. So we know it's not gonna come out, but I think for me, I'd rather just when I'm feeling like I need, like Mariah say, touch my body, or like I just kind of feel, I want to feel a male presence or be around someone loving, I'd rather call John, because it's like I know what to expect out of John. I know this is going to be temporary. It's only going to be for tonight, and he's just going to fulfill my want for what I need right now, and going forward, it is what it is, rather than opening up the gate to someone new, to Malik, and we're talking, and I'm thinking, okay, like, he's potential, he's acting like he's great, he's being here, he's doing this, and to get let down again and get my hopes up. And I know it's not right, and I know it's not, but I think for me, when it comes to relationship, I will double back in a heartbeat. I will.
And I get and understand that. Trust me, I do. But here's my question to you. If you're working on you, you're trying to rid soul ties that you have tied yourself to, why double back? Because you're not going to get rid of those soul ties. True. No matter how much you're trying to work on you. You keep doubling back. You just tying that knot a little bit tighter. And it's going to make it a little bit harder to unravel.
Yeah, but I feel like if I know it is bad, I'm not like expecting love anymore. I'm not expecting a relationship anymore. I'm just wanting company, or I'm just wanting to screw and then just keep going. Sorry, aunties here. But, I'm just expecting to just like get it done and keep going. And it's like crazy, because it's like, and I don't know, I guess I feel like when you already have that soul tie, you already know what a person's made of. It's like, you can't harm me anymore because you've already hurt me. What more harm can you do to me?
But that's not true, because the more you keep, you saying it's just a quickie and done, but that comes with feelings. That comes with bringing up old feelings, like, oh man, I remember this, remember that. Like I said, you just making that knot tighter. Like, true. You trying to work on you. So you trying to work on you sometimes, all of the times when you're in a season of you, it requires separation.
That is true.
You have
This
to
is true.
separate. And it's hard. It is hard. But there's other ways to, fit your needs without going back and dipping into those ties, And so
Probably.
that's why you have to like really protect and guard yourself when it comes to that, especially when you're in a season of you trying to figure out what you want, who you are and whose you are, and what you're called to do and be here. You have to be careful of who you allow in that space in that time, because everybody's not for you, and that can slow down your process of finding you. That could potentially harm the process of finding you, because you thinking you finding you, but you just found him again.
True. That's true. But, I can't renege and be like on the same time. Like, I think, is it different if it's, like, I don't know. I think, like, for me, how you were saying, like, with your friends, like, you'll double back when it comes to your friends a little bit more when you shouldn't have. And I think with guys, I'd rather do it with guys than girls, with friends. Because I feel like with my friends, like, I have more respect, or have more, like, I hold them up higher, which is crazy. We're talking about this, and I think it's crazy because obviously in the end I want to be married and stuff like that. But at this point, I hold my friends up to such a higher standard. So it's like, when they hurt me or they do something that they know, and it ain't nothing that's borderline, like, okay, maybe they know, but I know, like, you have crossed this line, like, it is a ultimately red flag, like, I'm good to let it go. Because, like, you were like you my sister in a sense, my heart, like, you knew better. I think I think with guys it's just like, oh, okay, like, guys is just guys. Like, it's like, and I hate to say it, but that's what I meant. It's like, I'm not saying I'm expecting a guy to let me down, but it's just, it is what it is. But with my friend, it's like easier to just be like, wow, like, you hurt me. Like, I can't go back again. I can't forgive you in that sense, because like you my friend. I don't know how else to say that.
But I feel like you can forget, because forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. Because when you don't forgive somebody for what they did, you're holding on to that. And so they done moved on, they done lived their life. You can forgive somebody, and you don't have to be in the same, y'all don't have to have the same friendship or the same relationship as y'all had before. But you do have to forgive that person, because if you don't forgive, now you're hurting. And you're the only person that's hurting while everybody else is going on, living their life, and you over here trying to figure out why you can't get past the situation. It's because you ain't forgave.
So let me ask you this. The people that have hurt you, are they still, you say, like, you're back and y'all are still friends. Have you fully, like, are they still at the same friend level of you, or have you just backed away? So you rather just still keep them cool, like, be cool with them instead of just cutting them off completely?
I look at, like I've said before in the past, I'm a pros and cons type of person. So when something is done wrong to me and I know that it was out of my control, I look at the pros and the cons of our whole relationship, our friendship. Like, how have you been throughout, first of all, how long have we been friends? That's going to determine if I'm just going to cut you off or if I'm going to try to make this work. If we only been friends for a month and you cross me, oh, it's cool, that's all right. I don't even know you for real.
Yeah.
You just showed me who you are. But if we got more than 5 or even more than 7 years of friendship, that's a lot of years to just throw down the drain, when you can say, okay, I understand that we've had this relationship for so long. Because we've been friends for this long, you should have known that what you did wasn't right. However, I know that we've had way more good times than we had bad times. This wasn't a deal breaker to say that, no, I can't absolutely not talk to you or be your friend no more. This just means you just changed the dynamics of our friendship.
Okay, so you just like, I'm still cool. I'm just like, I'm off of you in that sense.
Right.
Because I feel like, some people, like, with friends and stuff, they hate low-key. They might not show it to your face, and it might be things that, you might see, okay, they might like for our podcast, for example. You had a friend, she might like your podcast, like the post, but she doesn't watch or she doesn't follow it. So it's like she's supported to a extent to where like she's there, but not supportive as you would think a real friend would be. But like those are like actions. It's kind of like that you might be thinking, okay, this person's here for me, but really they feeling like, you know, they might be praying secretly like, I hope Bree fail, like Bree ain't, you know, talking negative on you. So I feel like with that, you're still allowing that person to have access to you, and to, even if it's not to a full extent, I feel like any type of access, I'm giving you access in a sense to even try to be like I don't want that around me.
And that is true. But I also feel like when you have those people who are like that, who secretly are voting for you to fail, you'll know who they are. You'll know who they are. Because an unsupported person don't become unsupported overnight. They've always been unsupported. You ever pay attention to, like, when you have friends, you ever pay attention to that one friend that's always hyping you up no matter what? They may have hell going on in their personal life.
Yeah.
But they gonna hype you up.
That is true.
You know, when you have stuff going, they always gonna be there. They always gonna be supported. That's a friend you want to keep around, because even in that lowest time, they're still
there for you.
Yes,
definitely.
and making sure that you succeed and wanting to see you succeed. That's a friend that really truly cares about you. But a friend that can only support you when it's convenient for them, that's a friend that you want to pay attention to. It's signs to everything.
That's true.
It's signs to everything.
I definitely think so. At this point, when you have those habits, you don't go back. How do you like let it go? Like just for yourself, let everything go.
It's hard. It is really hard to just let go, and it's not a overnight process. It's not something that you can do cold turkey. But I do feel like you know when you've had enough. You know, only you will know when enough is enough.
That's true.
And at that point, you have to make it a sacrifice to say, or I made a decision to say, okay, this is the boundary that I'm putting up, and I can't cross it. And I won't allow you to.
I agree. And I think in your sense that we're going to go to comments because we have a good amount of comments that I really want to get to. I don't know. I think it's okay to just let it go and just move on and never speak to a person ever again. And you can forgive them and say, hey, I don't care, like I forgive you, but I just don't want you around me. But I think some people like, I feel like it gets confused with you just being like, oh, you just doing too much, or you being petty, or like you're not really thinking about the bigger picture. But I think we're all inclined to our own self-peace and our self-awareness. And you have some people, they can let a person, you know, have 2 or 3 red flags and they keep it going and they're fine, and you know, until it takes a while before it wears down on them. And then you have some people where it just takes that one thing for you to do, and it's just like you're overweight. But you don't know that person that takes one thing, it might be because they done been through so much.
Right.
So I think you can, I don't know, I think a lot of people accumulate you cutting someone off with you not being forgiving. Like, you couldn't forgive me and make up to it.
Forgiveness doesn't require reconnection. That's what it is.
Okay, boom.
Forgiveness does not require reconnection. You can forgive somebody and not have to be a part of that person's life at all.
True. And just move on.
Yeah.
Ooh, y'all, we got a little deep in there. Ooh. Let the church say amen. So we'll go to some of our comments and kind of touch on these. So Spice Lady, we kind of missed these, but we'll kind of touch back when we're talking about kind of like doubling back and stuff like that. And she was just saying sex is more than physical, it's spiritual and mental also. I definitely agree. But I also do agree, honestly, I think you can't have sex without all the extra. I think there you can, depending on the person and the people. Some people feel like you can't at all, but I think there is to arguable. She also said forgiveness frees you. I think that's definitely true.
Absolutely. When you don't forgive somebody, you're holding on to everything that they have done to you and what you have allowed them to do to you, and it just puts you in a bind, and you keep holding on to that. That's gonna make you miserable. It's gonna make you like not want to be around people. You ain't gonna be able to trust people. You're not gonna have no peace. So you have to forgive and free yourself from everything that has been harmed against you, you know? Like, you have to free yourself from that. So that forgiveness is that freeing yourself. That's absolutely true.
Definitely. Silent Killer said...
That's Bridget.
Bridget, we were talking about you earlier. Mm-hmm. Be that that's on them. What God has...
That's on them.
Oh, but that's on them. What God has for you can't nobody destroy what God has for you. Pray on my downfall all you want. That's going to backfire on you.
Listen, that is so true. That's my best friend, because I say all the time, God will handle any situation way better than I can. Everybody be like, I don't see how you don't want to do this and that when people do stuff to you. Like, no, because what God gonna do to you is way worse than what I can even think of, you know? I don't fight my battles. I don't have to fight my battles. They already fought for me, because God adores me. He favors me. So, like, he don't play about his children, and I'm his child, he gonna protect me at any cost possible.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it's a difference also between, like, fighting battles and standing up for yourself, too.
There is a difference.
Some people think, you know, because I don't speak, like, I can speak up and stand up for myself and tell you what you did is wrong. I don't have to be belligerent and go off on you. Mm-hmm. That, you know, because I got enough high power that could do that. But some people take advantage of that, and they're like, you know, she's scary. She don't care, that she don't this and that.
You can say what you want to say. You can say your words, they may scar me a little, but they ain't going to kill me. You say what you want to say. You can call me scary, but at the end of the day, that battle is already won. I ain't got to fight it, boo. I don't have to fight it.
That is true. And then Spice Lady said forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. I definitely agree. I just think what I was speaking on is it's easy to sometimes get those lines blurred and feel like just because someone forgave you or whatever like that, they have a power. Like, you're supposed to get back together. And, you know, like when men cheat on their wives or stuff like that, some women feel like, you know, I forgave you, so why we can't move on and be back together? Or, like, relationships, friendships too, you know, like, hey, I did this, I forgave you, let's get back together. But that's not always the case.
No, I forgave you, but I didn't forget what you did, and what you did I can't get past. It's not gonna slide for me. So definitely. You are forgiven and you are dismissed.
Period. Watch this. I think the biggest takeaway, like, for me personally was today was just with red flags. Like, everybody has them. Mm-hmm. I mean, it might be something that I do that's red flag, that you do that's red flag, you know, and we just have those flags for it. Everybody has this different strokes for different folks, but as soon as you can learn how to identify it, but it starts with self. Right. We see them. We made it obvious. We see them, we hear them, we watch them. Uh-huh. It's just, what are you doing about it when it happens to you? Right. And not allowing people to have that power to treat you any type of way.
What Auntie just said, don't give your power away.
Yes.
And with that being said, y'all, I do appreciate y'all for being here today on the live. We love you so much. Thank y'all for joining us. And y'all know I'm not going to leave y'all without my affirmations. And I read this affirmation, and I think I should have read this affirmation earlier today. But it says, when life sends a challenge, push forward by taking control of your responses. Start with counting your blessings. This practice will remind you that things always work out in your favor. Assessing past achievements will support your future possibilities. Remind yourself that you have what it takes to step over the struggle and to step into success. Believe you can create the thriving you desire. Y'all, we love y'all.
We love y'all so much. Thank you so much for just being there, and we will see y'all next